Hello there. Well, in West Tennessee, y'all, it is fall and it is wonderful. Feels so good outside. You know, with fall, it's a great time of year when you're cooking for two because you've got soups and stews and cornbread and casseroles. Oh my goodness. And those are all so easy and quick to prepare. And you can put them in the fridge and you can eat on them for days if you want. Or you can not and just make a smaller amount. We can always do that. But today I have an amazing tomato soup recipe that I just cannot wait to share with you, okay? And I have a couple of little surprises, so you want to make sure and stay to the end or you might miss something. But I'm going to go ahead before I share the first surprise and get my butter in the pan because my pan is on and it's getting hot. So we have about anywhere from 4 to 8 tablespoons of butter. I think I've got like 6.5 maybe. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those down in there. It's really just kind of your preference. If 7 is too much for you, just cut back a little bit. It'll be fine. But I'm gonna get my turn my heat up just a little bit. Let that butter get to melting just a little. Okay, and while the butter is melting, my first surprise is, look at this. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you saw the reel that I shared when I went shopping and I found these and some other beautiful pastas for fall. But this, oh my gosh, look, it's like a little pumpkin bowl. We're gonna use this in the soup today. All right, I think my butter is good and hot. I'll turn my heat down a little. I'm gonna add in my onions. This is 1 medium onion that's chopped up or diced up. I'm gonna add that in there. Butter smells so good. This recipe is very, very easy and it's pretty quick. All right, got my onions sauteing. We've got our layers started here, so we gotta make sure we season all of our layers. So we're gonna do some salt and some pepper. And it's tomato soup, so you could do a little extra pepper. Something about tomato soup and pepper, it just complements each other so well. We're gonna let this cook until our onions become translucent. I had to throw on my trusty apron because I don't want tomato soup getting all over my top. And sometimes it does have a tendency to kind of splash everywhere. Now, I know, you can buy whatever brand you want of tomato soup in the store. And if that's all you have time for, and if you love that, then by all means, go for it. But I would challenge you, if you have never tasted or cooked homemade tomato soup, like, it is a game changer. Totally a game changer. There's just nothing that compares to this fresh homemade soup versus what you pour out of the can. And what you pour out of the can, you're not in control of the ingredients. It's full of sodium and no telling what other ingredients. So when you make your own, you know exactly what's going in your soup, and the taste is definitely worth the effort. I think our onions are good and translucent. So what I'm gonna do now is, what I've done is I have some fire roasted diced tomatoes. Okay, if you can't find the fire roasted ones, you can just use diced ones, it's okay. But the fire roasted ones will really give you a little bit more of a depth in your flavor and the richness. So I have 2 cans and I'm going to add in both of these cans of the fire roasted tomatoes that are diced. Okay, and I'm also gonna add in, I've got a can of tomato sauce. I'm gonna add this in with the other tomatoes. See, I've got a little scraper here. I want to make sure you get all this goodness out of here. Tomato paste, this is another way to really add some richness to your flavor because the tomato paste is just tomato. The tomato paste is just tomato pulp. Okay, it's concentrated. So it doesn't take a lot, but I'm going to start with a good heaping tablespoon. And I'm going to add that in, and I'll probably add more, but we're going to start with 1 tablespoon. All right, and to kind of dilute that a little bit without losing the richness and the flavor, I'm going to add some chicken stock. Quite a bit of chicken stock. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and pour the whole thing in there. Now, we're going to let this get really good and warm. Okay, I'm going to add in some more salt and pepper. And this is just to taste. You know, I even do that. Like when it gets towards the end where it's getting done, well, I have to taste it and see if it needs more salt or pepper. And then I'm gonna show you a little trick here if you've never seen this before. Here's an ingredient that might shock you a little bit that I'm actually putting into the soup, and it is a little bit of sugar. Yes, sugar. It doesn't take a lot. I have about 4 tablespoons in this bowl, but I'm just going to start sprinkling it in, and I'm going to let it cook a little bit, and then I'll taste it. And the reason that I add the sugar is because all of this tomato is very acidic. So if you will add in a little bit of sugar, that's going to combat that acidity, and you get that really rich, smooth flavor. So I'm going to just, like I said, start sprinkling in. I'm going to go ahead and put probably about half of it. Let this cook a little bit, taste it, and then we'll just go from there. Okay, so I've tasted the soup, and it does need a little bit more. I'm going to probably do not quite all of this. I'm going to just throw in another good tablespoon. All right, and I am going to sprinkle in just a tad bit more sugar, just a tad. Now, we're going to add half and half to this at the end, and we'll add some fresh basil, okay? And that's where the creaminess is going to come in once we add this half and half. I'm going to do a tad bit more salt and quite a bit more pepper. Now, the little surprise ingredient is this sriracha seasoning. If you don't have this, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. You could just use some cayenne pepper. If you have like Tony Chaucery, or however you say that Cajun seasoning, you could even throw in a little bit of that. But you know, Kyle and I like things kind of spicy, so if you want to omit this part, just feel free to do that because the soup is delicious. But this just gives it a little bit of spice and a little bit of heat. So I'm going to add a little bit to my soup. I'd say a couple of tablespoons. And put that in there. And we are going to let this cook. I'm going to add in this soup probably, I would say it probably is going to need to cook for about 30 minutes maybe. Once you get it up to a pretty good boil, go ahead and let it cook about 30 minutes before we're going to take it off the heat and add in our cream and our basil. So I'm going to wait just a little bit longer before I add in my pumpkin pasta. We're just going to throw some of that right in there with it and let that cook in the soup. So while all that's cooking away, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you so much for watching, and encourage you, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, you need to do that. Go to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so that every time a new video comes out, you will be notified. And also, I have a website, Cook It for Two. That's cookitfortwo.com. So if you haven't gone there, go there. Subscribe to my blog so that you can look at all the pictures and stories and all the good stuff that's on there. Also, when you sign up for my blog, you'll receive a newsletter once a month. Not a big deal. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of let you know those are the ways that if you like the recipes, you can print them off, you can download them, and you know, it's just a way to help me out. It supports my business, but also it just helps me know what you like and what you might want to see more of. I'm always up for suggestions. You can email me. That's the best way to contact me. So once again, thank you so much for your support. Okay, I went ahead, added all of my tomato paste, and that's just one of those small cans of the tomato paste, and added a little bit more salt. And the last thing that I have left to do while the heat's still on is I want to go ahead and put in some of our pumpkin pasta. Now, I'm not going to use this whole bag of pasta. I'll probably dump in about half and see how that looks, and then we'll go from there. Now, it normally takes your pasta anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to cook. So after your soup has been boiling pretty good for about, say, 20 minutes or so, then go ahead if you're going to add the pasta. We have this all the time without any pasta in it. We just eat the tomato soup. But since I had the pumpkin pasta, I thought it would be great to add that into the soup, and it would just make it a little bit more festive. So this is the great time to add that in, because by the time your pasta's finished, then it'll be time to add your cream in and your basil, and you'll be ready to eat. Now, a lot of times, we like tomato soup just by itself. We'll maybe eat crackers with it. I'm a saltine fan, and Kyle's a Ritz fan. And also, we love grilled cheese with it. But tonight, what I'm going to do with it is I have some sourdough bread that I really need to use up. So I've just cut that into some chunks. I'm going to put some olive oil, a little bit of butter, some salt, pepper, and garlic. Put those in the oven, let them crisp up, and we're just going to kind of use them as croutons. And that's what we're going to top our soup with. Okay, I told you this was pretty easy. Takes few ingredients and just a little bit of time. But our soup is just about finished. I've turned the heat off because the pumpkin noodles are al dente. They're just perfect. And so I kind of was letting it sit just a minute. I've cut up a sourdough bread. I put some olive oil on it, garlic powder, a little salt, pepper, and I put those in a 350-degree oven for about 10 or 15 minutes. So they're good and toasted, ready to go as a topping on our soup. And also, I have already cut up the basil. I got some fresh basil out of my little herb garden. So I've already cut that up, and it's ready to go as a garnish. Remember, you want to be careful when you add your fresh herbs. You don't want to cook them a lot. They're better when you just kind of add them as a garnish and you just put them on it when you're finished. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm also going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I put some Parmesan cheese on my croutons also. Like I said, I've turned the heat off. So now it's time that we're going to add in our cream. Now, I have about 2 cups of cream here, but I'm not going to use all of this. I'm probably going to pour in about 1.5 cups, maybe a little bit more, 1.75 cups, and I'm going to see how it looks, how it tastes before I add the rest of it. Well, I think I needed all of it because I just poured it all in there. You know, you can't really ever have too much cream, right? Let's hope so. Let's stir this up. We might have pink soup. Well, this is real life, y'all. Got carried away. Oh dear, I think it's a little bit much. No, it'll be good. Kind of looks like maybe squash soup. But what really matters is what does it taste like, and I'm gonna taste it. Okay, here we go. That is so good. I'm not just saying that, y'all. It is a little extra cream. So for you, when you make it, hold off. Don't even fill your container all the way up in case you do what I did. It is a little bit of cream, extra cream, but you know what? Once we get our croutons in there and get our Parmesan cheese on there, it's going to be delicious. It really does have a rich, comforting flavor. Okay. All right, I've got the soup in the bowls. All right, look. Woohoo! You can see the pumpkins. So cute. Sorry, that noise is kind of annoying sometimes. I'm gonna get me a clean spoon. I have one bowl ready, but I was gonna show you how I did this bowl on camera. So all I did was I took some of my cream, like we need more cream in our soup. Anyways, we're gonna use a little bit more, and it's not a big deal, nothing fancy. Just kind of let it fall off your spoon, swirl it around, and just you know, just adds a little something to your bowl. You know, as they say, we eat with our eyes first, and so I just think that looks kind of cool. You can put a toothpick in there and swirl it around, get real fancy, whatever you want to do. But now I've got some of that fresh basil. I'm going to put fresh basil on there. I'm going to take some Parmesan cheese, and I'm going to grate it fresh on the basil. Then we have our sourdough croutons that we're going to add in there. And there you have it. This is, I would really call this more of like a tomato bisque than a tomato soup, because it is very thick and creamy. But again, this is a great meal to have for fall on into winter. You can make just a batch for two, or you can make a big batch and just stick it in your freezer, and then you have it for a rainy day. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you picked up something that you didn't know before. You learned a new little tip or trick, and that you learned something that you can take to your kitchen and cook up something great for your family. Lord bless you.